All right, welcome. Today's Tuesday, March 10th at 6:16. I'd like to call the Community and Economic Development Committee to order. Myself as chair, William Twist, and to my right is John Swayzer, and Tom Kendall is absent today. Our goal today is to provide a recommendation to council related to the annexation petition filed on behalf of Harold E. Trader for the annexation of 34.469 acres from Staunton Township to the city of Troy. And Sue, would you like to update us on that?
Yes, let me start there. Maybe Mr. Dando, of course, will have a lot more detail.
Yeah.
This was filed with the city yesterday on behalf of Mr. Trader by his agent. This is actually for two parcels that are in Staunton Township. One is 33.494 acres and one is 1.005 acres. This annexation was filed under the expedited procedure, which is set by state law, governs all communities, that gives the city a time period of 20 days to file with the county the statement of what municipal services, which are the standard services that would be provided to an area to be annexed. Also because this is an expedited annexation, and it's surrounded by some other properties. There is a buffering requirement for protection, and that's also 20 days. And then within 25 days, council must file with the county a statement of consent or not. So there's a very short timeline in which to act based on our calendar. It's the next meeting coming up, and so we are requesting emergency legislation. I know it's been a while since we have had an annexation presented under expedited, perhaps close to 8 or 9 years, but we have had this procedure in the past. I'm sure Mr. Dando can answer some particular questions that you might have, or I can try to help.
Okay. John, questions?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. In looking at now this is all part of the ORC. This is what we have to do.
Yes.
So the 20 days isn't something that we just cook up. It's just what we have to, that's how we have to proceed.
It
it's
is
the procedure.
stipulated by Ohio Revised Code.
Okay. Have the people who live in the surrounding properties, and I noticed there's quite a few that kind of line this whole, are those are all homes in there?
Those are existing homes, and they're required to be notified by the petitioner. So the petitioner had to notify the clerk of council, and also has to notify each of those property owners as well.
And what avenues do those property owners have if they're like, we don't want this to happen? I mean, do they...
They will appear before the county.
Okay, they would go to the county.
Right, part of the notice that they get has to specify that they have that ability to go to the county meeting where this will be discussed.
Can the county void this?
The county has actions that are specified in the state law also, so they have to very narrowly look at those requirements that they have to follow as well.
And so once we get it, let's say that this passes in council. What happens then? Do we start? Do we run services out to there, or I guess what would be the next steps should this go through?
This step is the services that the city could supply if the area becomes annexed. Then the Miami County Commissioners will follow their process, and they may or may not approve the annexation. If it is approved, it will come back to City Council for the question of whether the city will accept or not accept the annexation. Then it becomes part of the city, and any future development that might occur would fall under the same city rules as every other property. And at this point, there's certainly no indication that the city is planning to make any improvements out there, and we've not heard any from the property owner either.
Is there existing water and sewer line out there now?
No. It's some distance away on the south side of Troy Urbana Road.
So these homes are all under wells and,
Wells and septic,
And septic.
private systems rather than municipal.
and these properties right now are zoned A2 and R1AA, and they'll come into the city as A2 and R1 or R2?
Under the state law, it retains its county zoning until such time as the city council would apply a new zoning district. And that would have to go through the same zoning procedures as any other rezoning property. But it would retain exactly the zoning that it has now.
Okay. Have we heard from any of these property owners?
We have not. This was just filed with the city yesterday, and I don't think they would maybe contact us necessarily at this point. They may not have received their
Yeah,
notice.
what's the purpose for expediting? Just to get an answer within that amount of time? Why would someone expedite this?
That expedited is a shorter process. It's a lot easier for the petitioner to do, and it can only be done when 100% of the property owners of the area being annexed are in favor of the petition. The regular annexation requires only a simple majority of all the property owners in the area.
But Mr. Trader is the sole property owner, so
Yes.
so therefore it's 100%.
That's
So these
Yes.
other properties aren't coming into the city, it's
No.
just,
That's what I'm, yeah,
No, they're not.
it's just him as the sole.
Just him.
party.
And he chose this procedure.
Okay, and he chose. So if we approve or this gets passed, that still has to go to the county, and then it actually comes back to city council to be officially annexed.
There's,
And we could say no to that annex then at that time, technically?
The county could, the city could. This is basically the very first step that the city makes in terms of can provide services, in terms of the standard services that are provided to any property inside the city limits.
And who pays for the services to get connected and all of that, like to do the actual infrastructure, to move lines and all of that? That would be
to develop.
whoever is doing the
Typically, that's part of a developer's task.
developer's task.
In some cases, the city has installed a water or sewer line, such as the water line that was done, maybe 20 years ago, that went to Concord School. That was done through city mechanisms, but
Doesn't have to be.
it's not the traditional way that these things are done. Typically, a development carries its own cost of development.
Other questions?
I may, go ahead and.
Any questions from other staff, city council?
I do.
You have to come to the podium, sir.
Just very briefly, this,
I can hear you.
Just so we can hear.
Name and address, please.
Bob Phillips, City Council, Fourth Ward. Is this in any way attached to or across the street from the Harlow property and subdivision that's going out off of Troy Urbana Road? Are they directly across the street from each other?
Across the street, yes.
Is there any business connection between those two that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Would the city be opposed, like, to taking services out to there? Is there a downside to us taking services out to that annex?
Our services, certainly our wastewater and our water treatment are in excellent shape and can absorb quite a bit of additional usage. So we're not in a situation where we need to be concerned about that. We can handle quite a bit of additional growth. Our systems were sized to be able to do that.
Okay.
Unlike some other communities that maybe would need to look at any single extension. Ours can accommodate quite a bit.
Okay.
And this is currently served by our fire and EMS in the service
It's already-
area. And of course,
There.
I realize it's, now served by the sheriff's office technically.
Is this going to be continuous with the rest of the city of Troy, or is this going to be kind of an island
Oh,
outside the city?
it is contiguous.
It's got adjacency, which is why it's eligible for annexation. Islands can't be annexed. So there are the existing houses along the road that would remain outside the city limits, but otherwise it's adjacent to the city.
Okay. Is it being farmed now? Do we know?
Yes,
It is? Okay.
alternating between corn and soybeans.
Mr. Trimble, do you have anything?
Mr. Tremblay, do you have anything? Okay. Any other city staff?
And this is multiple pieces of legislation.
I believe it will be 3 pieces. When we've had expedited annexations in the past, they were 3 pieces. I'm checking with Mr. Livingston. I don't know if they can be combined. There may be a reason they have to be separate. So quite possibly 3 pieces of legislation associated with this.
And all would be emergency?
They would all be emergency in order to meet the statutory deadlines, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. If
With
we move
emergency.
forward
Okay, with emergency?
with emergency.
Yes, all right, thank you.
Anything else to come before?
No, we appreciate you meeting. Again, this was just filed with us yesterday, and your next meeting to consider this is this coming Monday.
All right.
Very good.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.